I don't care what you think. You can think I'm lazy, but I'm going to go kill it in the gym tomorrow.
And I'm not gonna like waste my energy on this menial, stupid job because this is my life, and my goal is not to work here for the rest of my life. My goal is to grow my legs, and that's what I care about. So I will do my job, but only to the point that it doesn't sacrifice my actual goals.
Yeah. It's like that's like the software that's running in the back of a young bodybuilder's head, right? Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding, episode 115. Of course, I'm here with Dusty Hanshaw and Scott McNally. I'm Big Ron Partlow, and on today's show, Dusty's got a ton of questions, Scott's got a couple questions, and we've got lots to talk about on It's Just Bodybuilding. Hey, so I guess you guys must have stuff then, if I've said so.
Yeah, right? we have to, now that you've done that. I'm just excited that you were able to do such a clean intro after taking a week off to go to Hawaii and ride bicycles.
Yeah, a little holiday. It was pretty fun. And you guys had Tommy on the show. That was fun too, I bet, you know? Mix it up a little.
We were trying to I needed somebody to save us. Because literally, I shot Scott a message, and I was like, Scott, looks like it's just us. He's like, there's no fucking way this is going to work. You got to find somebody. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry. So I got on it, you know?
Yeah, sorry I forgot to tell you guys that I wasn't back yet. I kind of got sidetracked with riding bicycles in Hawaii.
I bet. It's a good reason.
Bikes and hoes.
Yeah. No, it was cool. I figured, hey, if I'm there, I should send an Instagram message to, you know, a couple of the guys there that are on the scene. And so I just shot this guy named Bobby. I shot him a message. I said, hey, I'm from Canada, and I kind of know these guys that you know. You mind if I come down and say hi? And he's like, yeah, fuck, we'll be in this parking lot Saturday afternoon down by the beach. Just come find us.
That's cool.
So I just went down there like 1:30 in the afternoon and just like looked for guys on bikes. Looked for like 40-year-old dudes on bikes.
And it's got to stand out pretty solid. You're like, nope, 12. That's not them.
Yeah. No, they weren't hard to find. They weren't hard to find. It was it's such a beautiful place. Have you guys been to Hawaii?
Never.
No.
It's fucking pretty cool. It's I mean, we were in Honolulu, Waikiki specifically, so that's like the kind of like the surfer's paradise of Honolulu, like, you know, like it's like the touristy beach part of the city. So it was, you know, it was awesome. It was a great holiday. But yeah, I went down and found those dudes, and they were just like right away. I was like, oh, hey, like, you know, just chatting, instant friends, you know, just like you would if you walked into a gym that you'd never been in. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know, so-and-so, and oh, you're friends with my friend, and just that small world type of shit. And, so yeah, they were awesome. And the one dude had a bike that was like pretty similar setup to how I have mine. So I was like, oh, maybe I could pull a few tricks on this one, you know, because that's really hard to hop on someone else's bike. It's like totally set up different. It feels like alien, you know? So yeah, I managed to get a few tricks for the gram, you know, as you do. You have to make it look good if you're, you know, going to be in Hawaii.
I have to imagine pricing on stuff like the cost of that bike to ship it all the way out there, or like gym equipment. Everything's really expensive out there, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, you have to think like that's something that was actually on my mind a lot, was every single thing that there is there. You're like, this got put on a boat at one point in a big box, and it cost a lot of money to get it here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or an airplane, you know? So, you know, when you like one of the things I was talking to Mark, the owner of Iron Hawaiian Fitness, because we shot a Mutant on a Mission. We shot 2 episodes actually.
Oh, nice.
We shot one at Iron Hawaiian, and which is where The Rock likes to train when he's in town. He trains there whenever he's in the area, and cool gym, really cool gym. And you know, you have to think he's like, we're a little limited. I can't just buy something off Facebook Marketplace that's in the next state over.
Right.
He's like, if I want a Flex Fitness leg press, I have to try to find one that's like already fucking here.
Huh.
And that's what makes it tough, you know, but he had all these cool pieces because stuff finds its way. You know, someone brought a Flex Fitness leg press at one point, wound up in some gym somewhere, and now he's got it, you know, but it's just, you know, the isolation is, it's funny. You know, like I've flown to London a bunch of times, right? Mm-hmm. And that's less time over the water than the flight to Hawaii, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's
true. Yeah.
It's like 6 hours of just water because I leave Vancouver and it's like just water. And then you land in Hawaii and you're like, holy fuck, they're really out there. Like, there's nowhere to land if you miss the island.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you can, you know, if you miss London, you can land in Sweden or Germany or wherever the fuck you miss.
Right.
But you miss Hawaii and it's like, damn. You better have enough gas to get to fucking, you know, China. So, or you know what I mean? Like wherever the fuck you wind up. Another thing that was funny about going to Hawaii was I actually, for some reason, I thought it was just above the equator. So I thought it was going to be fall there, but it's just below. So it's actually springtime coming into summer. So it was a little hotter than I expected. I thought it would be like, I'm like, oh, it's fall in Hawaii. That won't be too bad. Then I got there and it was like 30. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I realized, yeah. So, you know, stuff like that, you got to be prepared. Almost took the wrong clothes.
Dusty and I are confused right now. We're like, 30?
Yeah, when he said 30, I was like, what the, that's fucking freezing.
Oh, okay.
Below freezing, in fact.
Sorry, yeah. 30 would be like, I don't know, like, you know, 80.
Okay.
85, yeah. 90?
Listen,
maybe 90, I don't know.
Now I need to know. Scott,
I'm on it.
Anyways.
This will bother me for the rest of the show. I'll be distracted. I'll be worse than usual. It's
trying to decide how hot I actually was. I don't know if he was actually that
now
hot.
I'm starting to judge you a little bit. Okay. Like 80, that's beautiful.
86.
86.
See?
Yeah. But with a breeze, I bet a constant like island breeze, right?
Yeah, it was nice. And everyone's like, oh, it's really humid here. And I'm like, well, technically it's not that bad. It wasn't that bad to me. I wasn't like soaking in sweat all the time or anything like that. I mean, right now in Vancouver, it has been raining for 2 weeks so hard that we've got massive evacuations and floods. People have lost their homes. There's small towns that have been just completely taken. The highway from here to Kamloops, the giant highway that they built like 25 years ago got like washed out, removed. Like there's so much rain here. It's 99% humidity yesterday. Wow. Because like you can't get any more water in the air. Like it's fucking it's just falling out of the air. It's just
fucking... You had like a snorkel when you went to the gym?
Yeah.
Or how's that work?
99% humidity, pouring rain, like gutters flushing, like water just running, people's basements getting flooded. Like my buddy went down in his basement the other day. The water was like a foot deep. He's like, oh fuck, it came up the drain, right?
Right.
It was just so, you know, that's, you know, we're at max humidity. We're living in like water world right now. That's but fortunately the gym is just high enough that, you know, hasn't gotten taken out yet. So
nice.
You're above the street. That's perfect. You got to come up that little bump to get into the parking lot.
Yeah, just a little bit. But the river is only a few blocks away over by Fit Foods. And the river is not that far from the bank.
Has that affected? I was going to say, did that affect Fit Foods at all?
No, not unless it comes over the fucking bank.
That's some scary shit. At the base you guys are going.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to not rain for one whole day. So, see, I feel like Paul, we're talking about the weather.
This is extreme weather, which makes it interesting. Normal weather means you have nothing to talk about, you know?
No, I know. But no, things have been going good. Like I said, it was good to get away. I recommend Hawaii. Next time I go, I'm going to go make sure I get like a couple days to go to Maui because everyone was saying, oh, trip number 2, you got to include Maui, which is another island, right? You have to go there. Apparently that's more real Hawaii, you know, less tourists, not as like, you know,
more chill.
Sort of like, more chill. So everyone's telling me to go to the real Hawaii, which is another island. So we'll see. I hopefully there's a trip too. You know, I'd like to go back.
I'm sure he does the show every year, you know. As long as Sean stays on board, I imagine there'll be another trip.
Or just a holiday.
Part of the master plan.
Yeah. Just me on my
Scott,
own.
Did we have any questions in the YouTube?
Well, people were reeling. So, Ron, you missed it. I totally called Dusty out. I told him that his training is shit and that terrible. Nobody should do it.
I saw it. Well, I did know that you said nobody should row like Dusty.
It was like,
really meant train in general.
Yeah.
He wanted to keep it nice. You know what I mean?
That was more like it was like I don't want to say clickbait, but it was a good title. You know what I mean? It was like a little drama in there.
So what kind of comments did you get? Did people say, "Yeah, finally, Ron doesn't fucking say anything. He just lets it slide."
Finally, Ron disappears and Scott just calls this shit out of him.
Finally, someone stands up for what is right.
No, we did just had a few people. They were all polite about it, but they're like, "Yeah, now that you mention it, I've seen him row, and I know like I couldn't do that." Now that we've had this conversation, because Dusty has said, like, I've taught people how to row like this, and they do it well. He showed you how to do it, right, Ron? Like, you guys have done
the one off the floor, the pendule rows where you touch the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had never done those before, so my first time ever was with Dusty at Dino's. But yeah,
he's still standing, spine still intact.
yeah, still standing. Yeah. I went up.
Everything still worked.
Yeah. I did all right for a first timer. You know.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah, we had some fun though, Ron, because it was so funny. But Scott and I talked before the show, and it's like everyone thinks that you have to either agree on everything with people or hate them. Those are the rules of the world now. It's like, you know,
right.
Those are your options. You can agree with me or I can fucking hate you. That's it.
So we had this funny, we were out for dinner with one of my coworkers, George, and his wife. And it was funny. Yeah, you know, George. And it was funny because Emily said, she's like, yeah, Ron just doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't care about other people. And everyone kind of laughed. And I was like, it's not that. I'm so busy just trying to keep my own life on track. I feel like I'm just constantly like full speed, barely staying in my lane, like just so much going on that when someone says like, oh yeah, so-and-so did this, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Good for them. And then I just move on.
Right.
I don't like have to have an opinion. I don't have to like contribute my thoughts, make a post, screenshot it, show it to everyone.
Make sure everyone gets on your side in the argument. Yeah, it doesn't even exist.
So whenever I see someone do that, like there's someone that I toxically follow, and I actually unfollowed them this weekend because it was toxic.
It's good.
But everything that person did had to be recorded and storied. So like if they had an argument with someone in traffic, it would be recorded and then it would be storied. Look at this fucking idiot I had to argue with in traffic.
Dusty, are you checking to make sure it wasn't?
Yeah, I was making sure that he didn't block me.
I saw you look at the phone.
Quick. I was like, wait a minute.
I didn't really think I worded it that way.
I couldn't find Ron. I can't find Ron on Instagram.
I was wondering why I couldn't see his page anymore. I wanted to see some tricks. What the hell is going on here?
I mean? And then they posted
what's funny about
else.
that?
Yeah.
Is I had that conversation this weekend. So a girl, this has actually happened a couple times, but I love this one. This girl posts a picture, a selfie before training, and she's like, "Gotta get the selfie before training." Then the next story is, "I just found out that my pants were see-through. That's so embarrassing." I'm like, "Well, if it was so embarrassing, why did you tell 3,000 additional people?"
But did she include a pic?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, no, I didn't see her asshole or anything. It was very disappointing. Yeah. I was like, well, I want to be the judge of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit drives me batshit. I'm like, you would need There was another one. It was funny, actually. Gina jumped on this chick.
Nobody commented. That's what it is.
Well,
she
this is
posted
the
the
thing.
pic and didn't get enough comments. So she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe my pants were see-through in that last picture that you can go back and still look at."
Yeah, it's not gone yet. You know what was funny was there was another occasion where a girl put up a post, like an actual post, and she's a pretty well-known, I think she was a bikini pro back in the day or whatever, but she talks about how she had her period in Target and it was bleeding through and it was so embarrassing. And she posts about it. And I love it though, because Gina goes on there and goes, "You really have issues if this is how you need to get attention so badly that you posted this story." Like she like literally just unraveled on this chick. It was amazing. I'm like, agreed. It was so embarrassing that I wanted to show everybody that this is what happened. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, anyways, I see, Ron, you don't care about people, and I just hate them. So anyhow,
I'm starting to like. I've been on a tear, man. I've been fucking unfollowing people like crazy, and a lot of the hot sort of fitness girls in the industry that I maybe followed because they followed me and they had 500,000 followers, so I followed them back or whatever. I'm just like, I don't want to see your shit anymore.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Just because it's like I don't need my brain, like the whole thing, like what you put in your brain is part of your diet.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, fuck, I've been consuming all this junk food by accident. And I gotta like get rid of it. So like anyone with all that negative shit, you know what I mean? Like here's me and my neighbor fighting. I'm like, ugh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
You take a bad approach to it though, Ron. Like what we like to do, when you find the people who put the quotes on, like every single picture is a quote. Yeah. We'll have an argument back and forth in our house where she'll read a quote and then I'll try to double back with a quote that I read on someone else's page. And we'll just read through to really drive home how stupid these people sound. Yeah. I'm like, do you have any actual thoughts of your own or just quotes? Interesting.
Right.
They also don't apply to your asshole, but whatever.
Yes.
So yes, I'm glad to know that you don't care about anyone except for me, Ron, because I'm still being followed.
Yeah, no, still following you, still following Scott. I care about Scott and his guns.
Thank you. And my guns are grateful for that too.
They all deserve respect.
How many guns are there now, Scott?
Not many. In fact, I lost them all in a boating accident. They're gone.
It happens.
Yes.
I heard about that. You have no guns now.
Yeah, none.
Yeah. It's cool that you borrow some to go out sometimes. That's cool.
It's probably good that they're at the bottom of a lake, though. That way everyone's safe.
Everybody's safe that way, yes.
Yeah. Bottom of Lake Michigan, somewhere, never to be found.
Something like that.
We didn't even know what lake. Okay. It doesn't know.
Yeah, good luck. I'm still waiting to get my gun license because I mailed it away and everything, but of course the Canadian government says, please allow, between 1 and 27 months for our government workers to stamp your piece of paper and mail it back to you because that takes months and months and months.
Huh.
So we'll see. But as soon as I get it, I'm going shopping.
Nice.
So we'll see. Yeah, I just hope I get it before, there's some new Canadian law where you can't buy any guns.
Yeah, now it's over. You missed that window.
I hope I get my guns just in time that I can lose them in a lake.
Yeah.
Right. It happens. Maybe it fell off the ferry even though you didn't have it on there yourself.
Yeah. We'll see. Okay. Dusty, what's going on? You got a million questions? I saw you put up a box.
I do. I've got some good ones. I got some good questions. I got some all over the place questions. So yeah, let's run with a few.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask the questions. You guys are gonna answer, and then if I have anything to add, which I won't, then I'll add. All right, here we go. How do you give someone advice to get back to being motivated after being out so long?
I would just remind them of how great it is to have structure in your day and remind them of how much more, happy and productive and healthy they're going to be by having this, positive thing to do with their time. Try to approach it from that point of view, because I think that, just saying oh, can't you wait to look awesome? It's well,
yeah,
it doesn't really how they look isn't really the main thing for a lot of people that bodybuild, which is funny. I mean, yeah, they want more muscle and stuff, but like we all know, it's how you it's how you feel that really is part of it. So I would try to approach it that way. Maybe if that doesn't work, call him a fat fuck.
Yeah, true. Just tell him to go get naked in front of a mirror. Obviously,
yeah, go get naked in front of a mirror. We got some problems here. Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Scott?
You know what? I feel like, I think all of us have dealt with this at one point or another. And I think it's important to say that because I think a lot of times when people are watching a podcast and they're like, oh, it's Dusty Hanshaw, pro bodybuilder, Ron Partlow, pro bodybuilder. These guys have never felt unmotivated. But it is an all of us kind of thing. And I think that what I find is it's important to not get overwhelmed by like what I want to achieve long term. If I were to say to myself, like after I got sick, like, okay, I want to get back to like the level of focus I had going into that show in 2017, like to build that overnight would be overwhelming. But I can be like, hey, I'll take it one step at a time. I'll make sure that I get to the gym at 3:00 every day, little things, and then build off of it. And that if you are doing better than you were the week before, even if it's not absolutely perfect, that you're progressing. And with that, I think that you'll gain, or you can gain more momentum that way,
I would also tell someone who's been out for a while, I would tell them that now is an especially important time to logbook a lot of stuff because they're going to see drastic improvement and they're going to see it on the paper right in front of them. And it's going to reinforce, like, it's one thing if you're like, oh yeah, I've gotten a lot stronger since I got back in the gym 2 months ago. But it's another thing when they can look at a paper and they're like 50-pound dumbbells for 6. And now I'm doing the 100-pound dumbbells for 8. Yeah, holy fuck. Like that's like a really huge reinforcement of, and maybe it's only been 2-3 months, right? Like if they're coming back from not training at all, it could be that drastic of a strength. It could literally be doubling their strength for someone who has been out of the gym for a long time or something, come back in and squat 2 plates and it's hard. And then 3 months later, they're squatting 4 plates. Like that could theoretically happen. So, and that would be enormously reinforced. That would reinforce their, positive feedback and all that stuff. So I would say logbooking would be really, really important. Plus just getting on the meals and stuff, it would all really help.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I was going to add is, it pertaining to bodybuilding itself, not going to the gym, not being in shape. I think one thing that I've found with clients even is you'll have people that are super focused and they're locked in, and then they got some things with their kids or they got injuries or they got something, and then they really have this mental, they really think they need to get back and they really, really struggle with it. And literally like 2 years goes by and they can't get clicking. I feel like sometimes people need to realize that some things in your life are seasonal, meaning you might be done with bodybuilding competitively. You might want to look at doing something else. Like I think sometimes we try to force ourselves back into a space we used to be in because maybe in our brain there's unfinished business or something like that. When in reality, it is okay to look and sometimes be like, yeah, I did that. And maybe I'm done with it for now. And you might step away and do something else and then realize, no, I'm not, and come back. But I feel like sometimes forcing something like that just doesn't necessarily work, So I just think there is something to be said when you're looking at the really high levels. I think you absolutely should be worried about health as far as some form of a workout, not eating like a complete asshole. But it is okay to be done with bodybuilding if you realize that it's just not there. Because like you said, Scott, we've all had those times. But for example, training, that has never happened to me in my entire life. Like there's just nothing I would rather do than go to the gym. Yeah. But if I just put on my story this morning, like, somebody asked what my diet was, and I think they meant exactly. And I was like, well, to be honest with you, I don't eat enough. Like, because at this point, when it's time to push food down, I'm like, oh God. Whereas when I was competitive and that was the most important thing in the world, I didn't care. The food was going down. It didn't have to taste good. I didn't have to want to eat it. It did not matter. It was going down. Now I'm like, I don't want to eat this bad enough to force it down.
I almost died forcing steak down.
Yeah, maybe we should factor these things in. But no, I mean, really, I do think that that's something people shouldn't be afraid to look at, because I do feel like in the industry, it's kind of like if you guys have ever seen like the responses, even to like Jay Cutler or Kevin Levrone downsizing, and people are like, I can't believe he let himself do that. And I'm like, what?
Well, they don't realize how high
they
maintenance.
Look great, and B, they're done. Like, what do they have left to prove? You know?
Yeah, and I was talking to some a guy that I know who used to compete. He was really good, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I just want to go in the gym now and do like 4 sets of 10 on 3 or 4 exercises for each body part, and just look great and still have the routine of a bodybuilder, but I don't care how much I lift, and I'm just chasing a pump, and it's actually still fun for me to train like that. Go in, I just like to do the movements. I like to have fun in the gym, and you know, like that's enough. Like, you know, he's still working out. He's still getting his exercise. He's doing his cardio. He's eating better than everyone else. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. So, you know, we'll see where I wind up in a few years. Maybe I'll just be chasing the pump. I do go a lot lighter. I have lightened up on a couple things. My shoulders, I had to be careful. My overhead pressing got really rough there right before Braden's show. But that's because I was like training. I was trying to like, you know, I was pushing him, so I was training like just as hard. And my shoulders started to hurt. Like I'd warm up on the presses and I'd be like, oh, fuck. I don't know if I should be pressing today. You know what I mean? And by the time you get to like 4th warm-up set, I'd be like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. It's sand now instead of clicking. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. They just warm up till the Velcro sounds go away.
Let's see here.
Okay.
Oh, this is a good one, and I think you guys will like this. What do you guys think about banded deadlifts for backs, for back training? Or do you think it's better to just do regular? That's the full question.
So have you ever seen like when someone just drapes a band over the bar and then stands on it? Yeah. So we do those for hamstrings. Like we'll do stiff leg deadlifts, but we'll do them on the platform instead of out of the rack. And we'll just set up on the platform, and it's just that first rep from the floor. But then the other reps, you just, you know, do your stiff legs. And having the band on there actually targets the glutes in the top third of the motion. That's what is getting hammered. So I wouldn't even say I feel it. I feel like it really digs into your back that much more than the movement itself. The bands seem to be like, they really trigger the glutes because you're, you know, at the very top of the movement. And I like to do mine so I go dead straight at the top with my glutes flexed. And with the band on, you're standing there like holding it, and your glutes are like crampy. They're like, you know, and as soon as you bend a little more, they just go, fuck, they take all that band, right? And so I don't know about deadlifting with bands for the back, because I don't know if I've ever banded a floor deadlift for back. I don't remember if I ever have.
Seen. I know Hunter has, but I don't know if they were deads or if they were.
Yeah. Does he have like a platform that has band pigs on it? He probably has one of those.
But I can't remember what it. I don't. Somebody will know that's watching. They're irritated right now that I don't remember. But it's either that or he does rack deads that way. One of the two. And I definitely like. I see that stuff as, I mean, A, fun, but B, like, talk about a great way to make sure you can finish your deads. Because that's usually how I stop on a rep range, is I'll come up and I know I can't finish the rep. Like, my shoulders will be forward at the top of the last rep, and I'm like, okay, that's it.
Right. Yeah,
you know, having that be the hardest part would definitely strengthen that you know, the finish of the rep.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, that all came out of West Side Barbell with Louis Simmons. The guy's banding the, you know, oh, you're having a hard time locking out with 700. Well, let's do rack deads and we'll band the fuck out of the top, and you'll pull into bands for a bunch of shit. And then when you go back to your floor deadlifts, that you'll be able to stand up with them, you know?
Yeah.
So like all that strength.
You guys ever watch that? I know Ron, you did because you and I talked about it. But Scott, did you ever watch that that documentary?
No.
West Side versus the World?
No, because I don't watch a lot of TV. Victoria wants to watch it. And in order for us to watch TV together, it has to be like, she can't watch it right before bed because it'll get her like too wound up, you know? And so we have waited this long. She's coming here in a couple of weeks. So I got to make a note. That's like a good one. Like when we can watch TV during the day and it's not too exciting, then we will watch it. I've heard it's awesome. Watch
that because it's what I love about that is, I mean, they were so ahead of the game, but I just love like when he's talking about the bands, they had no idea. So they would just throw bands on and like, it wouldn't work. He's like, oh fuck, that was too many. It was very like all over the place.
Yeah. He said he went to, what did Louis say? He said he was talking to he was reading those Russian textbooks, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I can't remember how the story went.
He got started on the bands instead of just using the chains.
Yeah, because they were doing dynamic loading because that like had begun, and he was reading these Russian textbooks, and then the bands showed up somewhere, and so they just thought, well, let's just ban the fuck out of every single thing. So they were banding like every movement they were doing. They were banding, and then guys were just getting crushed under bands, and they're like, "Oh, I guess that's too many bands. We'll take some bands off." You know,
that's great.
That's what I love, though, is that like when you realize that those things, like hearing those old stories of how things come about, is always exciting to me. Like I remember similar situation, but like I think it was who was it? Was it Duchesne back in the day? He was the big guru, right? With the drugs and everything. Yeah. John Romano told a story at one point where I guess he came busting into his apartment when he lived in California. He's like, hey man, when I pass out, hit me with this. I just took a bunch of insulin. But he wanted to be able to explain everything that happens from when you start feeling your hands get tingly to where you start shaking all the way to passing out. And it's funny, but it's like, well, that's how you find out how this shit happens, because some crazy bastard's like, well, we got to know. I mean,
yeah, like before him, nobody knew about like clenbuterol as being a potential fat loss agent. But now, like that's all you think. You're just programmed. You're like, oh yeah, clen for dieting, right?
Beta agonist.
Like it was made for that, you know?
Yeah.
That was created
it's a fat loss drug, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not a fat loss drug at all.
Not even remotely.
It wasn't even in their daydreams when they made that drug. It had nothing to do with fat loss. Yeah, people, they don't even know it's an asthma drug. It's so funny. But I don't have asthma.
Well, you do if you want to get this drug.
Yeah. No, man. Fire away. You got another one?
Of course.
Dusty's got good ones. I didn't do a question block. I saw Dusty did one, and I went, we're going to have plenty. Plus I have a few from like leftover because I had some for last week's show.
I have one follow-up. I have one follow-up from last week, too.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do the follow up?
Dusty, you want to do? You sounded like you had something good.
They're not going anywhere.
Okay,
dude.
Okay. So, Dusty, what were your tips that Dante gave you for digestion? You mentioned he helped you, but then you didn't say what those tips were.
So he didn't. That conversation that he's talking about, it wasn't about digestion. It was about hunger. So what we were discussing were. And I mean, a lot of the stuff Dante's went over a million times, but what he had actually sent me was a cereal that I liked. I did talk about that, like a Cocoa Puffs fake that had like 18 grams of protein in it. Yeah. So it was more about things that are easy to get down, which in the past with situations like that, like what I used to do, again, when it was size or nothing, was chicken wings, which I've talked about a million times. Like that was my go-to with Dante back in the day. It was like, if you can't eat, go order 36 chicken wings and watch a football game. You'll eat them. Right. Snacking is never difficult. But now that I really don't, it sounds funny, but I really don't like eating that way anymore. So it's become more difficult to eat when I'm not feeling like it. 'Cause it's like, I have chicken and rice.
Yeah.
Now what? So, and I do shakes every now and then, but it's something, it's funny, and I talked about that last episode, is I don't like things like that if they don't taste good. Like we talked about that. When I see a diet cookie, I'm like, fuck off. If you need a cookie and you're not in prep, eat a goddamn cookie. Move on with your life. Call it a day. I like crumble cookie, by the way. But anyways, we'll get into that later. Oh, so good.
That made me think of that made me think of another question. And this is a question actually for Dante. If he's watching, Dante, why don't you have protein cereal through True Nutrition? Wouldn't that be the bomb?
I actually know the answer.
Oh, you do? Really?
Yeah. He was working on finding it. And this brand that he sent me created did a different choice in protein, and that's how it worked for them. And then he just let it go.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, he was actually that. It's funny, but when he sent me that, he's like, "Yeah, this guy beat me to it," because they were working on it. Because one thing I love about their stuff is he's pretty obsessive about it tasting right when it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like if I tell you, oh, this is a protein that's like Cocoa Puffs, and you're tasting it like this is nothing like Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You know what I mean? Okay. At that point, like, because that's the whole idea. Because what I used to do post-workout, my usual post used to be literally Cocoa Puffs, a scoop or two of whey isolate in almond milk. Done. That was the meal.
Yeah. That's a thing about protein cereals. I'm like, why do you need protein cereal? You have whey protein. You can just pour on it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
So if you want, that's the thing. It's kind of like you said before, Ron. Like, why are you taking out a carb to do it at a different time or something like that? You know what I mean?
And just pour your Cheerios and then just pour your vanilla isolate over top and just
I guess that works. The old school.
That's what we used to do all the time. I mean, it's just you shake it up and mix it in there. But I do like those. I think Matt Porter actually made a protein that is still out of cereal. And I used to just eat them. Like, I'm like a child. So you put them in your, in your man purse and there's Skittles in there.
You mentioned snacks. I need to talk about snacks for a second.
Yes.
I'm not a snacker, like almost at all. Like I don't.
You've been bodybuilding for 72 years, bro.
And if I ever have a snack, I'm like, I'll just have a scoop away with it and call it a meal.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but that makes sense. I used to, I shouldn't say used to, I still do. I do tell clients when they're having a cheat meal that's planned, like if you're going to have pizza, do me a favor and at least drink a shake before you eat the pizza.
Right.
Like just so we still get protein. I don't care if you eat the entire pizza and have wings with it. Like that's not the point. Just at least not, I call it like wasting a meal. Like, if you want to eat Reese's peanut butter cups, by all means, but just have a shake with it real quick.
Yeah. Just call it a meal. Carbs, protein, fat. There you go.
It is a meal.
My Reese's peanut butter cup diet strategy that I unveiled on the last episode that I was on.
Yeah,
that got a little bit of traction. I had people mentioning that to me. I had a few messages. They were
Who doesn't want that?
They've been like, I've been working on this for years, and the way you described it, I don't know why I never thought of it that way. Like, I'm just going to do that.
Juan Morel did it with ice cream, and he went to the Olympia multiple times with it. So, he put up a post the other day. It said, "Would you rather eat the cookies or have the abs?" He had no shirt on, and I'm like, "Well, you get to do both."
Right.
Apparently.
Yeah. There's a way to do both.
I felt like he was just reminding us all that our genetics suck, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. I know.
All right, let's see. So I guess I didn't really answer that, but it wasn't about digestion, Scott.
Okay. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to take a brief moment to shout out our sponsors. I'll make it quick, but this stuff's super important because it's our sponsors that help to make this show possible. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. And if it wasn't for you shopping with our sponsors, we wouldn't be here either. You can support our programming by shopping with TrueNutrition.com. They're our title sponsor. They've supported us for a number of years. They have awesome health and performance supplements. You can ask Skip or Dusty or Scott Stevenson all about True Nutrition, and they'll tell you how good of a company they are. Hardcore bodybuilders have trusted them for over 15 years now. Use our code THINK. You'll get some savings. You'll support our programming. If you're in Canada, you can shop with supplementsource.ca. They have highly discounted supplements, discounts on bulk orders, and free shipping over $99. Check them out.
And finally, you can directly support our programming on Patreon. I'll have links below for Patreon and everything else. We're taking more questions over there, and I appreciate everybody who's already helping to directly support our programming through our Patreon. All right, guys, thanks for hanging with me. Let's get back to the show.
It was about
you. Where is this one? Because it was good. I'm just going to paraphrase. I don't know where the hell it went. But what do you do to tell people or friends at the gym that you don't want to train with them? Ooh. There it is. Your approach to telling friends he even put quotes, which I love because he knows I hate that word. Friends at the gym that you don't want to train with them. It's one of my clients.
Huh. Yeah, that's funny. I don't know. Everyone I've ever trained with, it sort of came to a natural end. Like my one training partner, like did a bunch of natural shows and won his natural pro card. And then one day he's like, man, this has been awesome. I think I'm going to go do some powerlifting. And I was like, yeah, awesome. Cool. And then he just went and did powerlifting, and it wasn't even like a big deal. It was like, oh, sweet. Cause he's having kids and stuff. So he's like, I'm going to put like a rack in my basement and then I can train at home and I can powerlift. And I'm like, oh, sounds like a great idea. So that's what he went and did, and then I haven't really had that many partners,
Well, he's saying friends. So I think he's talking about like, bro walks up like, what are you training for? I'll jump in with you, which would never happen with me. But
or just like casual guys like, yeah, we're all gymming Monday, and he's like, oh, I want to train real serious and I want to like, write my shit down in a log book and I want to like, maybe it's that too.
It's not you. It's not you. It's me.
Yeah, it's not you. It's me.
I always used to say that. It's not you. It's me. I don't want to train with you.
Yeah. It's not you. It's me. I don't like you.
It's very simple.
I find you really annoying.
What's funny though, because I do get that. I get that sometimes where people will say, in fact, I had a guy that hired me. And then shortly thereafter, he was in Arizona. He's like, hey, I'm going to head down to the gym and catch a workout with you. I'm like, no.
You gotta ask. No, don't tell.
No, but what's funny, and then I do have people that will ask, and it's nothing against them. They could be complete badasses, but I'm like, I have a training partner. We have a setup. We're good. There's the only time I let people come in and go is like people who have trained with me in the past. Like if Ron came to town, I'd be like, Ron's training with us today. Or we've done that before when Turner Riddle came to town. It was just like Tommy showed up. He's like, Turner's training today. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Different animal, So, but
yeah,
that's really
I know what you mean.
So to answer the question, I would tell people, I just tell people I want to train alone.
I had someone ask me once, like, how do you, like, they were training with a partner, like long term, and they're like, yeah, I don't want to train this guy anymore. And that's difficult. But I said, well, he said that one of the things was time. Like the other guy was always like 20 minutes late. And he's like in a hurry because like 20 minutes is a big deal for some people. That's their whole drive home. They could be home with the kids, And so I just said, you gotta let them know that you're starting right at the time. Like you have to, because you got, shit you have to do and stuff. It's not like you're just, 20 years old. It's fucking summer and you just train whenever. It's like, just start training and he'll get the hint. Like he'll either start showing up on time or he'll start showing up later when you're done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Pretty simple. Anything to add, Scott?
Man. Yeah, I think, you know what? I'm thinking of a story actually when I first decided that I wanted to compete and I didn't have a lot of muscle on me. And I knew like one guy that competed. And he was a big dude, and he's probably like 8-10 years older than me. And I remember asking him if I could train with him. And he was like a lot strong. It was not a good matchup. Like we wouldn't have been a good partnership. But I couldn't see that. I was just like, hey, I want to train with this guy, And I remember him being really nice, and he was like, I think you'd probably be a good training partner with Lance. I think I remember him being like really nice about it. And he was like, you and Lance could get a good workout in together. And he's like, yeah, maybe we'll do that one day. Yeah.
Right.
He was really nice about it. But I just
he
remember
matches you up with somebody. He's like, hey, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony, come here.
Yeah.
This kid, you guys need each other.
It'd be great to train with you. Yeah.
That's classic.
I guess, I don't know. I think I'm a good training partner. So, I haven't been like fired by anybody.
No, people quit on me all the time, but I've never. I mean, maybe that's how they fire me. I don't know.
I had a training partner once. He was really good. He still competes, trains super hard, but he just always wanted to train at like, I wanted to train at like 5:30, and he wanted to train at like 5:36. And it always became like 6:15.
Right? Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, yeah, I gotta be done by 6:30. Like I want to be done. Like I'm starting at 5. And so like I just started training, and he'd see me in the gym like, oh, you already started. I'm like, I had to, man. Like, what do you expect? But you just got to do that sometimes. Fucking, it's the way it is.
That's the worst.
Not everybody's casual.
Yeah. And it's the worst when people show up 20 minutes late. Because if you have it timed out and you're ready to go, and like if you're taking pre-workout and stuff like that, that's as bad as like talking through the whole workout. You know what I mean? Showing up 20 minutes late because you already missed like the whole beginning, the whole setup. At that point.
That's true. Plus, you got your eating. So if you need to be eating your next meal by the time this workout is done, which now started 30 minutes too late. Yeah. The only thing I used to run into is when people would come in. And then they'd come in late, and then they would tell me their problem that I also didn't give a fuck about, which was irritating to me. Right. So it was funny, but at one point I had to tell a guy, he came in and he was like, man, sorry, the wife and this and this. And I said, oh, hey, I do care. I just don't care right now. And he kind of looked at me and I'm like, so when we're done training, if you want to give me this scoop, cool, but I need you to get your shit together because we're already going.
It's a good way to put it.
And it was, he didn't. He responded really well. He's like, oh, fuck, yeah. He didn't think about it. Like, I'm like, I don't need this energy for this workout. Like, now I'm thinking about your bullshit. Like, no.
That probably helped him.
Fuck it.
That probably helped him.
Yeah, he got divorced soon after that because I told him it was just a terrible idea. Get rid of the kids, get rid of all of it. It's a mess.
This reminds me of a question I got that I didn't ask because we ran out of time. Yes. But I remember it. And it was a good one. It was, what do you think of the stereotype of bodybuilders being lazy and selfish?
Really?
Huh. Yeah. What do you think? That stereotype that bodybuilders are lazy and selfish. And I've seen it in tons of people. In fact, you see it in yourself occasionally. You're like, oh, whoa, I don't want to be like this. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like, just think of a bodybuilder, like doesn't want to do anything, just wants to train. Doesn't want to work, just wants to train, we all know guys like that, right? Oh, yeah. And they're like show up 20 minutes late because they don't really care that you wanted to start at 5. They wanted to eat late and take their time, and they're 20 minutes late now. And it's a selfish thing to, it's people who are chronically late. It's a selfish thing, right?
Right.
And I had problems being chronically late for years and years and years. And I'm not late anymore, and I'm not competing anymore. So I'm wondering if there's like
there's a connection between the two.
Yeah.
No, you know what's funny is I understand the question of it. I think like when you're handling like timeliness, like that really comes down to like you said, number one, it is a selfish thing to basically say that your time doesn't mean shit to me and I show up when I show up. But that being said, like with my training partners back in the day, we just had like an unwritten rule, like, we start around this time and 15 minutes around it is fine. Because we all knew, like give or take, I mean, literally it was like 11:30 to 11:45 is when we start. So if you show up at 11:45, no problem. We just get rolling. If it's after that, I need to know beforehand, and I might move the entire workout because, like you said, Ron, but all kidding aside, my friends are all self-employed or doing so we can move. Like sometimes it's like, bro, I'm screwed. Can we do this later? And I might look at my day and go, no, I'm going to go in, or sure, what's 3 o'clock look like? But so the lazy part, I don't match at all. I think what it is it's actually, I think some form of selfishness is necessity if you have big goals. And I know people don't like looking at bodybuilding that way because they're like, oh, it's just bodybuilding. But if I was trying to build a Fortune 500 company and I said, this is the most important thing, and I miss meals and I miss family functions and I do all this, or if I was studying for the bar, then people are like, well, he's becoming an attorney. That's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that break line of what a lot of people generalize as being worthy of that kind of focus versus tinkering around with weights.
Yeah.
So the common thing about, I've heard, I worked in the bar industry, right? So I had a lot of people that would say to me, they're like, yeah, man, you're awesome to work with. Most of the bodybuilders I worked with were just so fucking lazy. Like I had a lot of people tell me that, right? Because either they're working the door, they're like, okay, what's the easiest place in the room? Oh, the VIP room. Okay, I want to work the VIP room. Oh, okay. Right. What's it? It's just like bodybuilders tend to gravitate towards where can I sit on a stool and eat.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So in the bar industry, it's very common, like, and then, I'd been working the door for a few years, so I kind of had some seniority. So, a lot of jobs that I would go work, they'd be like, oh, well, I want the VIP. I'd be like, I want the VIP door, I'll sit on a stool all night and make $250.
Right.
And so you get this like thing like, bodybuilders, but I don't think it's, a laziness. We're trying to be, I know it manifests itself in funny ways, but we're just trying to be extremely efficient. We don't want to waste energy. We're so focused on the goal. Everything's about our workout tomorrow. Like I got legs tomorrow. I'm not fucking lifting anything tonight. I'm fucking sitting on a stool. Like, that would be like in our head. Like, and it's not necessarily correct because I know, lots of guys that work hard jobs that are bodybuilders, but it's just this, like, we're attempting to like put everything. We don't care what you think. I got legs tomorrow.
That's a great way of putting it.
I don't care what you think. You can think I'm lazy, but I'm gonna go kill it in the gym tomorrow.
And I'm not gonna like waste my energy on this menial, stupid job because this is my life, and my goal is not to work here for the rest of my life. My goal is to grow my fucking legs, and that's what I care about. So I will do my job, but only to the point that it doesn't sacrifice my actual goals.
Yeah. It's like that's like the software that's running in the back of a young bodybuilder's head, right?
It is.
And it's not until you get older that you like realize like, oh, I can manage a bunch of things at the same time and still bodybuild.
I'm just realizing this now, by the way, just so you know, like as you're explaining
this is like therapy for Scott. Scott's like talking himself out.
I'm recognizing like choices I've made. Right.
It's funny though.
See, I knew this was going to go somewhere.
I actually talked to guys, like young guys on the regular about this because it is something that they'll do. They'll choose a medial job that's not going to pay them enough to support what they want to do. And I'm like, no, you can be successful and be a good bodybuilder. Like, when I look back in hindsight, like the busiest time of my professional life is when I turned pro. Like, my business was a war zone. I worked 6 days a week, open to close plus ownership shit. So it was, 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, cardio in the morning, cardio and training at night. And you work it all out. You know what I mean? So I think that's the big thing that people get confused on that I push is like, I'm not saying that you should choose a job that you're swinging a sledgehammer necessarily, but you can make money and you can be good at what you do. Because I think, to me, if you look at really good bodybuilders, I mean, I use Ron as an example. Like, I know for a fact that when Mutant brought him on as an athlete, even though they already knew of him, they were pleasantly surprised that he was also a worker for the company. And they were like, oh, shit. In fact, you work so much, we're going to move you across the country because we want you to be a part of the team, not just an athlete. You know what I mean? I think those kind of things are things you can use what you learn from bodybuilding to expand other areas in life. Because I think that's one thing that I know for me and a lot of other people is I didn't wake up 20 years ago and say, okay, where I am today was where I was trying to get.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I chased a direction and then successes in those areas led to opportunities. And then I woke up here and was like, oh yeah, this was the plan. Kind of.
Yeah. It was sort of thinking like, what are my goals right now? Like, what are my actual goals right now? I feel like I've been so busy that I don't really know what my goals are. Is like my goal just to stay this busy and get this much done for as long as possible and then just see where I am. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm at a point where I'm like, I got to decide exactly where I want to be in like a few years, you know, and set some goals. You know, because when you're bodybuilding and you're competing, you have this goal, right? You're like, I'm going to do this. But ever since I left competing, I've just sort of taken on things I want to do and done them the way I want to do them. And that's where I am now. But I didn't really plan it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like I was like, okay, I want to open the gym with some friends and we're going to get the gym this. And in 4 years, we're going to be doing this. No. We just like opened the gym because we needed a place to train. And we said, let's fucking do it. And now we're here.
Yeah. But now that what's funny though about that is now that you are there, I think and you know this from a business standpoint, if you want to see how far the business can go, now things have to be more calculated. You know what I mean?
Oh,
where you sit back, you have the calculation, and then you relentlessly chase down that execution of what needs to be done to hit that goal. It's just like bodybuilding. Like you said, that's everything in life. I think bodybuilding can teach you that is if you've got the ultimate goal in your head, then what's the first thing you do? Okay, what steps need to take? What do I need to do to get to that ultimate goal? What are the little goals that have to be achieved to make that happen? And once you have that shit in line, you just put your head down and go. You know what I mean? So it's like with business, I feel like that's a place where people miss is, like you said, Ron, they just chase. And it's not to say that it doesn't, it's worked well so far, but now you're at a point where to scale even further, it's like, okay, you know, it's just like anything to get from 180 pounds to 200, you can kind of just eat a lot and train hard. But when you've been doing this for 15 years and you're 280 and you want to get to 285 of muscle, it becomes like every fucking detail to make that happen.
The first 50 or first 40 pounds of muscle, you just got to train hard and scarf the calories.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally when I have young guys that come to me.
You're shoveling dirt. You're just shoveling.
I can't afford to hire you. What do I do? I'm like, eat a lot. I mean, a lot. And then sleep and train. Like, there's your answer. Come back in 4 years. You'll be big. Hey, promise.
You remember when you asked the question, the other episode was like, what's some advice in life? Like if you had one piece of advice, and I said, mind your own business. And then I can't remember what you said.
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
But I remember yours. See that? I only listen
what
to
if
you.
What if we reword that and we say, what's one piece of advice for business?
I mean, this is going to sound funny, but I do truly believe it. It's funny following the conversation we just had, but the true secret to business is being willing to work harder than anyone else. Because I have found through I'm being sarcastic for people who miss it, vast experience, that a lot of the times when I found my greatest breakthroughs was right after a fuck up, and I realized, oh shit, that's how I saw a weakness in my business, and I worked my ass off, and then that chink in the armor actually became the thing that took me to the next level. But it was because of the ability to just work, and in business, it's like I told my wife the time when I borrowed the $500,000 to buy a business, it was like, well, this is going to work because it has to, because if not, we're going to be homeless. And bankrupt. Like, you know, so that would be I mean, it's very simple, but I really do think that that's it. And if you can bet on yourself and go all in, and on the same time, if you don't have that, do not start a business.
Right.
So many people and I hate the word entrepreneur because most of us aren't entrepreneurs, we're business owners. There's a big difference. But being a business owner has become this thing that everyone thinks they want to do. And I'm like, most of y'all don't want to do this.
It's like being a parent. It's like being a parent or a homeowner. Not everyone wants a house. I'm in a condo now, and you know, I'm like, we've been thinking like, oh yeah, we'll get a house like, you know, one day, you know, this condo is going to go up more in value, and we'll swap over into a house, and but you know, all my friends right now that have houses are pumping their basements.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I don't want a house.
I don't know what the basement's like because I'm 24 floors above it.
Like it's just one of those things, right? But you don't always want what you think you want, right? Yeah, right. There's other changes that come with that. I would say my advice for business would be which is actually Gary Vee's advice that resonated with me heavily a few years ago, and I swear by it. It's triple down on what you're good at.
Oh, for sure.
And get rid of the other stuff. You don't need to do it.
Mm-hmm. Or you get someone else to do it.
Yeah, you get someone else to do it. Triple down on what you're good at, especially since COVID, because COVID like trimmed the fat off every business model. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really did.
It, all of a sudden it slashed the margin and, restaurants are only allowed 50 people. Well, now their margin is fucking 1%. So what are they going to do? Oh, they're going to do this and this and this to get costs back. And they're going to do this and this and this. And so it trimmed the fat off of all of our business models. Like at the gym, we used to have child minding, but then COVID hit and we're like, well, fuck that. Let's rip the room out, put equipment in there.
Yep.
Right. So, but why should we have child minding? No one comes to our gym because of that. We had like 10 people that used it and it was awesome for them. Yeah. But we literally had like 10, 15 parents out of 1,500 members. We had like 15 parents that were using child minding on a regular basis. So it was just fat. It was just something that we had to like service our members and be nice. Mm-hmm. But it was actually a waste of space and money. So what are we? Well, we're a fucking gym. So tear that room out and put more equipment in there. That's all anyone wants from us.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's a great way of putting it. It really is.
Like what do people want from you? They want a gym. When they come to West Coast Iron, they expect to have an awesome workout and they expect to have a huge variety of equipment and to not have to wait for shit. And they just want to train. So just do that.
If I was a parent in your area and I knew I didn't always have somewhere for my kids to be watched, I would have a membership at the gym that has that shit. And that is why I need them. And then I need you for the other times. And I would do that because exactly what you just said. I go to Gold's, not for the gym, for the childcare. And so I can still get a workout in. But when I go to West Coast Iron, it's to train.
Right. And, you feel bad for those like awesome 15 members because they're like really awesome people. Yeah. But you're just like, hey, it's just how it goes.
Yeah, like everybody will use a new leg press, in that space or... Dusty.
Yeah. Oh, lost Dusty.
He does that. He does that.
I know he does.
He'll come back. But yeah, everybody would use like a new lat pull down or whatever. Here he is.
Yeah,
I got offended when you said you didn't want to childcare anymore, so I just bounced.
There you go. Yeah.
I have to hang out
that's my advice. Episode. That's my advice. That. Triple down on what you're good at.
You know what? I'll speak from a podcasting perspective and just echo what Ron said, because it's the exact same thing. Like, and getting into YouTube this past couple of years, because we've always done like the hardcore bodybuilding podcasts, and then going to YouTube was almost like starting over. And everything that I've learned, and by learned I mean everything I've researched, everything I've watched, and then everything I've seen in our results, is that people come to us for what we're good at. And we aren't good at like, we aren't good at like self-help in your relationships. So guess what we don't do? We don't do podcasts about that, but
we occasionally pretend that we know something about relationships.
I do that so people listen to what I say and they know to do the opposite. It's very simple.
But that's what it made me think about those, because that's the way that a successful podcast is run, is that you deliver what you're good at and you stick to that. And it makes sense the way that relates to business. You can build your business up by doing more of what you're good at, building more of a hardcore, cool ass gym, where I bet that other 90% of your members are going to be so excited to have whatever space that is to get some cool new machines in there. That's badass.
Yeah. You can't. My favorite saying is, if you try to be good for everyone, you wind up being great for nobody.
Yeah.
Very true. Speaking of, this is off subject, but I'm tying it in two ways. I'm going to tell you the question first, but I'm going to tell you why it's interesting to me. So the guy asks, you can only use 3 pieces of equipment in the gym. what are they? So we're going to answer that, but it's interesting because I just went to a small gym here to try it out the other day. And what was funny is it was small enough that as I looked around the gym, I thought to myself, assuming that you could buy anything you wanted, and maybe you couldn't, how did you choose to buy that with such a large footprint and take up this much space in your gym? And then I fast forwarded, and a friend of mine, Matt Kuba, has a garage gym. And he has a Prime lateral raise machine. You know, the seated one.
Space saver.
Great, yeah, great machine. But I thought the same thing. Like, if I only had a 2-car garage to put a gym in, I don't think I'd have a lateral raise machine because I can only do so much on it. Because I got dumbbells, I got cables, like, you know what I mean? Like, my brain thinks that way. So, with that being said, this question was perfect. So, you only use 3 pieces of equipment in the gym. What are they?
Does that include the rack?
I'm assuming that a rack and barbells and plates are one thing. You know what I mean?
Damn. Well, if he's talking about machines, did he say machine or piece? How did he word it?
Pieces of equipment. He said piece.
Oh, well, okay. You need a squat rack, an adjustable bench, a barbell. You need a double cable stack.
Yep.
That you
Stop,
can
assholes.
adjust. What do they call those? You know, like a free motion or something like that.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
You need a double cable stack would be incredible. Come on. My dog kind of wants to say hi.
Perfect. I would like to see.
There we go.
Jed.
Hey,
Well, we missed you. You were gone for a bit.
I was. He was staying at the dog sitters, and then that dog comes to stay with us for a week soon because they're going away.
Oh, nice. Rotate.
So, yeah. So there he is. So I would say, I don't know. I love having a leg press. If you got a squat rack, I love having a leg press. Fuck. Almost
hard,
all
right?
leg pieces.
Yeah, 3
You almost
is
need a
funny.
leg curl. Like,
Yeah.
leg press, leg curl, and then like, I mean, if you got dumbbells, you can train chest, you can train shoulders. Maybe I put
I feel
a really
like
good back
with the
piece in.
question, I'm assuming
Like
like
a really good chest supported row or something. Yeah,
Ron's named like
but
7 pieces now, I think.
17 pieces. It's funny
leg
though,
press,
because, like,
leg curl, chest supported row.
yeah, like I was gonna say, if we're talking about actual equipment, assuming that of course we have barbells and dumbbells, I agree because I actually don't need anything for back. Like I can do an entire all back workout with the pieces I would have.
Assuming they have enough plates.
You know,
Yeah, there you go.
Valid point. You know, I would like the cable because there's a lot I could do off of like a selectorized cable. It's like my entire bicep workouts are cables.
Triceps too for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would. So it would be exactly what you said. I would do a Prime seated leg curl because I love that machine. And I would do either a hack or a pendulum squat.
Okay.
Those are good.
Because I can't. Squats are dick for me. Like if I want my hips and ass to grow, then I squat.
Well, you're old too, Dusty. That risk reward ratio.
The story of my life is that.
You know.
So are dumbbells considered something separate? That's a thing.
I'm not counting the dumbbells. To me, the gym.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Because that'd be like saying, because if not, it'd be like a barbell, 1 piece, plates,
Okay.
2 pieces.
Okay, because I like dumbbells more than a barbell for a lot of stuff. Like I could do a lot with back with dumbbells, and that was one of the first things that I got for the home gym was my dumbbells. The only problem is you got to be able to go heavy. You know what I mean? And heavy dumbbells they're expensive and they take up a lot of room. But I guess that's not the question. And then when I started looking at leg equipment, it became like a Pandora's box, because if you have a leg press and you're like, but if I really wanted to do a really good leg workout, I also need a hamstring curl and an extension. So I have hack squat. I like all my machines. Most of them are legs, hack squat, leg extension, leg press, hamstring curl. That, and then I also have a chest, like a selectorized, or excuse me, not selectorized, it's plate loaded chest press, converging chest press, and my pull down. If I were to get one other thing, I'd like to have another back machine. Because for me, one of the considerations is like Dusty, you were saying you could do all your back workout with the bar. Yeah. Sometimes I can't. Like on my really good days, I can. But that's why like dumbbells, I can do like a supported dumbbell row type thing where my back isn't the key feature in everything, you know, like sustaining myself. I'm kind of thinking this out.
Train right. That's the difference.
Yeah. I'm trying to think this out. Three pieces. I could always do a leg press, I guess. I could always do a leg press, and I guess I could like move my feet around to try to hit more hamstrings. I don't know. So leg press would be one because I can always do that. And then if we're counting like are the dumbbells part of one piece? I'd say dumbbells and bench would be another piece. And I guess, man, that third one's tough. That third one's really tough.
Yeah, you need a bigger garage.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm tapping right there.
I need a genie for the third one so I can ask for a few more pieces.
More wishes. Yeah.
You know, one thing that, and I don't know if you guys, Ron's probably used one, but a friend of mine has a hack squat that turns into a leg press.
Yes.
That's the same thing. I'm curious because I'm generally asking, can that hold the kind of weight that someone like us would use, or is that more for humans?
They're more for humans, but I think there's a couple of them that are pretty solid. Because like I've got a buddy that, you know, like he's putting 5 plates on his hack,
right, and it handles it no problem.
Well, I don't know how no problem. He hasn't complained about it, but it looks rickety to me. But he puts 5 plates on there, and then, you know, he's leg pressing, you know, decent weights. I think he only has enough to do like 8 or 9 plates a side or something, but I think he's putting that much on it.
Right.
But I don't know what brand he has.
I was just curious because I've seen those, and I'm thinking like in a small space that'd be beautiful if it actually, you know, functions that way. Because I definitely did learn during COVID that you don't need nearly as much as you think.
I think we all did.
When Lance started adding new equipment, it became like awesome, but I still kind of kept gravitating back to the barbell. Like, that's really cool that we got that piece. Anyways, I'm going to go row.
Well, let me ask you guys this then. What's one thing you absolutely can't do with free weights? Like one thing where you're like, man, I wouldn't be able to grow my physique the way I want to grow it without having this machine. Is there one?
For me, that would be the leg equipment because I don't get the same thing, like I said, out of squats. Now, of course, I can do lunges, I can do split squats and those types of things, but I need something like a hack or a pendulum.
You're never going to challenge yourself with a lunge.
It won't replace that. Plus, it won't replace the part of my brain that needs to be tapped into. Is, you know, like for back, like I can find that dark place and pick up a barbell, and it gets there. For squatting, I can do that, but meanwhile I know it's doing nothing for my physique because of structurally how I am. You know what I mean? Like it's only fun to hack squat really, really heavy because I know it actually works also. Like people are pretty surprised because when I do squat just for fun, it's very strong. It just doesn't help me. You know? Right. So yeah, I would stick to that. And Ron, something you said that I found recently, I wish I would have known when I was still bodybuilding, was I don't leg press heavy. I leg press deep as hell. And like 10 plates aside, the machine holds more than I use. And I always finish with it and just go crazy deep and 20, 30 rep sets. And I swear my legs would have been better than they were had I learned that a long time ago. I used to train really heavy, and then I would feel like my hip flexor when I got what I would call deep enough. So then I wouldn't go that deep anymore. You know, because I was like, oh, that's a lot of weight in that little hip flexor. That's probably not safe. And I'd actually pulled it a few times. And now I'm like, well, it's because you were training like a moron. And if you just went lighter.
Yeah, I tore mine there. I tore that like up in that hip a few times on a leg press. I tore that. Like you hear it go, and then it bruises.
Well, that's scary,
and it's
especially with that much weight.
You're limping around for a little while. Yeah, that's fucking brutal. I'd say the thing I have almost no use for very little use for is a straight barbell now. I still like to do a certain style of barbell row, but I can't press barbells at all. And I can't curl them and I can't do extensions with them. So straight bars are just not really that useful for me anymore. Stiff leg deadlifts, and I like to do certain types of bent rows, and that's about it.
The bent rows he's talking about are the ones that I don't do. We're just gonna keep this
not like Dusty.
for a while.
Just don't do them like Dusty.
just do them right, for fuck's sakes. All right, so I got distracted.
Are you next?
No, I've already said. We're waiting for Scott to finalize his. He didn't finalize it.
Yeah, I was trying to not. You know what I'm saying?
He had like 7 pieces.
I'll tell you what. If I could, on top of all of that, if I could add one more thing, I want a really nice row that would allow me to support my chest, like that prime row that you have, Ron. Where you can like stack the plates.
Cool.
Oh yeah, something like that, man. That way, if my lower back wasn't feeling great, I could still just kill it. And all I need is like a ton more space to put that one machine in, you know?
My favorite row that we have right now
more square feet.
is the Panada low row is my favorite one right now.
Panada low row.
We have the Panada low row. And you like step on a pedal to reach the handle. There's like a little pedal, so you push the pedal and the handle kicks back to you. It's got a lot of depth, so I can really reach on it, right? And it's got like a swiveling handle, you know, one of those handles, those D handles that like move around. And it's in on a ball socket too, so the handle's totally mobile. And but it's just got a great feel, that Panada low row. We do it one arm at a time, just wrecks my back. So I like that. Plus my back's fucked up. Like I got back issues. Like that one lat doesn't fire properly. So certain exercises I just don't feel my lat really doing much. And then other things I feel like, it's like stressed. Like it's loaded. And I really like feeling that lat under tension, because that, you know, really helps it fire. And then it gets all full of blood. And then I'm like, I feel symmetrical for a change. Like when my back's pumped, I feel normal. But when I'm not pumped, I feel like one lat's like way smaller than the other. But when they're pumped, like they feel the same. So I like to do things that really hit that lat.
You have to send me a picture of that one. I might need to.
Yeah, I will.
I'll
look it up.
I'll find it while you guys are talking here.
Because we're we've just continued buying equipment for Muscle Factory, even though there's no space.
There's always
literally,
space.
No, they're just literally, we just have a storage facility. Just buying, like if something comes along, you know, just the other day he sent me a picture of a parallel leg press, the hammer strength, you know? And he was like, what are you thinking? I'm like, did you order it yet? I said, Tommy loves those too. And I get the, got it. And I'm like, there he goes. We need this. I don't have any idea where it's going to go, but I'm glad we have it on the way.
Right.
And that's where the posing room disappeared to, was a parallel leg press.
Oh, you need that stuff. I had to ask you a question, Dusty and Scott. I can't remember where you guys were. I watched the first episode of Yellowstone season 4, so we're back into it.
Ooh. That was a solid episode, right?
Yeah, I like how they kind of like caught you up real quick, you know?
Yeah, they didn't fuck around.
Like everyone got attacked in some way at the end of the last episode, and they just like showed you what happened. Bang, bang, bang. Here we are. X number of months later, boom.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that too. I'm caught up completely, including last night. And the only complaint I have, because I caught up to Yellowstone binge watching, is I never noticed the filler episodes before. Like the episode where you feel like nothing really happened, just a couple little things. Because I always just watch the next one and then something good would happen.
Yeah.
So
but now you have to wait.
I think like the second, it might be technically the third episode, since they're calling the first one too. You'll be like, it was good, but nothing really happened. I remember like I watched the whole thing and I was like, shit. I like not enough
when
death or anything in this episode.
I like when you don't you watch those episodes of whatever show you're doing. You watch kind of the filler episode and you're like, nothing really happened. But then the next episode is usually a big, like something happens. It's like a big deal. and you realize that they needed to set it up.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say
what
that.
I mean. Yeah, you know what it's for. It's just that it leaves you wanting one more episode before I go to sleep. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no satisfaction. Or even, you know, when you watch the filler and then you're like, well, I'll just watch 10 minutes of the next one.
Yeah, and then,
I'll just get like
4 hours later you go to bed.
Yeah. You can't do that when it's weekly. I know, watching it live. Did you guys check out Succession yet?
I have not.
If you get a chance, once you're caught up on Yellowstone, try an episode.
Well, I'm caught up on Yellowstone, but then I started watching Dexter again too.
Is there new Dexters? Not yet, because I know that was there is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In the first episode, I was like, oh, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna be the same, because they kind of crawled me into it. And now I'm at 4 episodes, and I'm in.
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
I gotta watch
this show is back. Yeah. No, it's
we'll see.
as good as it was. Very solid.
Okay. I'm excited.
I feel like this is old news. You guys might have mentioned it a while ago, but I got on board. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I got on board with Squid Games and started watching that.
Okay, how far in are you?
6 episodes, so there's 2 left. And then
So which one did you just watch?
I think it was the marbles episode.
I just watched that one too last night.
Okay, yeah.
That was a rough one, hey.
Yeah, and then you could kind of see where they're going from here. Like, oh, okay. You could see like how things are going to unfold, moving. Kind of, you don't know how, but you're like, oh yeah, that was really painful, and I can see how there's going to be a lot more pain from here on out.
Oh, so,
sounds like marriage.
Dusty, did you watch it? Dusty?
No, I haven't watched it. You know what's funny?
Oh, man.
So here's the deal, though. This is my system. Now that I know everyone watches it, I don't watch it. It's not because I'm against doing what people do. It's because I'm going to watch 5 fucking years in a row in a week and a half, like I do every other time with a great show. Like if it cranks along, like I did that with Game of Thrones. Was over before I started watching it.
Yeah, I know.
The whole
I've
thing.
had that before. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm ready.
I have to say that Squid Games is remarkably dystopian.
Yes.
It is so, I don't know the right word.
How can you use dystopian and then not know the right word?
It's so good.
That's a good point.
I mean, hello.
You just did it. Don't run. Careful. You don't even. Should I be editing this out?
Stop.
Should I edit this out, or should we just put spoiler alert?
No, it wasn't that much.
You can do a little
spoiler.
mute over him where he goes, they pair him with.
But that's just an example of like it's savage,
It is.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Did you ever watch any of the Black Mirror episodes?
Oh, fuck!
Like it feels, when I say feels, like feels in my soul the way that show feels.
Very much. It's got that like hopeless future, sort of savagely unfeeling, sort of dehumanizing sort of feel to it.
Yeah.
See, this is what's interesting. Well. So I hear you describe this, then I think of how many people watch it. Then I think of how many people watch the news, and it all makes sense. I'm like, you guys like being fucking miserable. That's what it is. Because why else would you watch this show or the news? Okay. Got it.
I'm really looking forward to, just because I've heard so much good stuff about like Korean cinema as a whole.
Huh.
And Korean, this special, everyone said that how it ended, they just like, so far I've had lots of people tell me they thought it was awesome. And I'm like, well, fuck, I want to see like why and who's in charge of these games and why are they doing it? You know what I mean? Like, I can't wait to find out.
Yeah.
So
okay. I've taken a back seat. I've taken a back seat to a lot of that stuff. Like Black Mirror was really popular a few years ago, and I haven't I think some new ones came out, and I was like, I'm not gonna touch that. And if Victoria was here, I would not be watching this show. Like she would not have that. We would be watching something a lot more peaceful, calming. So it's kind of like
you definitely watch it before bed.
No, God,
I have a feeling there's a deep philosophical message at the end of this.
And that's what's really good about, like, you can't call this, I don't know, like maybe you could kind of call it science fiction in the traditional sense of the word, not being like aliens and stuff, but the way like classic sci-fi movies, it was about the story, but it was really like a reflection of the world,
Yes, exactly. I think it's going to have something to say obviously about money and what you're willing to do for money. And there's going to be like, I assume there's some kind of metaphor about, control of your life or something. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. Okay.
Are we ready?
Don't bet on the horses.
All right,
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Okay, this is we're going in another direction. What animal would you want to live in the wild as, but humans do not exist? So basically, there's no one there to fuck it all up.
Well, if you got to live in the wild, you want to be an apex predator. Period.
Sure.
Unless something else is going to eat you. So just think of it this way. There's only a few ways that a deer dies. It either dies of disease, it starves to death, it freezes to death, or a wolf eats it. They don't die of old age.
Right.
So you want to pick an animal, like literally 0 deer die of old age. None of them.
No kidding.
Once you get slow. Yeah, once you get slow enough, you just get eaten. That's how it goes. So that's you want to pick something that dies of old age. And very few animals die of old age. Wolves, some wolves die of old age while they get sick and die, but they'll be old gray wolves, like the old man in the pack, like the old alpha. Eventually, maybe he gets booted out and goes and starves on his own or something. I don't know enough about wolves. Someone can correct me, but you'd want to be a grizzly bear or something. I don't want to get eaten.
What about like a rhinoceros? I mean, those things make it through the whole life? That seems pretty hard.
Rhinos do pretty fucking good. Rhinos stomp crocodiles and kill them.
Yeah, and they're mean as fuck, I guess.
They're savage. Yeah, they're savage. They're a bus. A rhino is a bus. Like if you attack it, he just stomps on you. Like packs of like wild African dogs don't take down rhinos. Like,
they
get a few more rhinos come in and they just fucking mash them up. Yeah. And then they take their horn and they throw them up in the air and toss them around like rag dolls.
I actually just saw that on Instagram. There was like a page that posted like 4 or 5 pictures. Like there was no video, but you could see some sort of a dog or something literally getting just fucking thrown around in the air and on the ground and back in the air.
Yeah. Elephants will do it too. You see elephants, they're picking them up with their trunks and just flinging them in the air. Get the fuck out of here. A pack of lions or whatever trying to take down an elephant, and the other elephants come in and just fucking stomp them out.
Yeah. It's wild. So that's why I'm going rhinoceros. That's my answer. I'm rhino.
That's not bad. Elephants are really smart. They live 100 years. You get a lot of time. They got giant brains. They're pretty organized as a group, and they live a long time. Live 100 years. Or you know what else would be cool? Not much kills in think of like an owl or an eagle or something.
Right.
I was going to go that route. I was going to say like
around.
Some type of a predator bird. And do you ever
predatory bird?
This last summer it was a hawk, and I just watched this thing just like soaring. Imagine just standing like at the top of a mountain and being like, "All right, peace out." Boom, and you just take off like that. You might not live as long as an elephant, but damn, that might be worth it. Your quality of life would be awesome if you could do that. Yeah.
Something to be said about that.
I agree.
Who asked that question? That's a good one. I like that.
That was where the hell did it go? See, I've already moved along because I'm looking for more questions.
I was also trying to think like
the King of Udon asked that.
What animal gets laid the most? That was a different direction we could have gone.
Wrong.
Well, I think like a male lion just like lounges around all day, and whenever he's ready, he just gets up and fucking.
All right, I changed my answer. Lion. Fuck flying. Who cares about it?
That's good. Oh, that's classic. Okay, let's see here. That was solid. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. This was
I
a
like
funny
the
question.
I like the humans do not exist part because that took out like the comfortable house dog. You couldn't just be a house dog.
But it also took out the like for me, humans hunting animals that don't need to be hunted.
Oh right,
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean? Like they're gonna die. Like for example, an elephant might not be as good of a choice with humans around.
Yeah,
True.
exactly. Eh?
Yeah, let's see here. I just had some good ones here. Oh, this is a good Ron one, and I'll see if I don't know Scott's knowledge on this. Who are your favorite comedians at the moment?
Oh, damn. You know, I was way more into like comics that not everyone knew when I was on Twitter.
Huh.
And I was on Twitter for a few years and I was following a lot of comics. And I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. And I was showing them to people, you know? Like I remember showing
people.
Yeah, like I remember showing like years ago, I remember showing clips of Louis C.K. to people and they're like, who's this guy? And I was like, this guy's fucking funny. I didn't know about the jerking off in front of everybody thing, but at the time, no one really cared.
It happens.
But yeah, and I would say Chappelle right now. I just like I was saying last episode, you know, that interview with Letterman is great. So if you watch the Letterman interview with Dave Chappelle is great. But you know, I went on a binge watching all those old Norm Macdonald clips and stuff.
Norm.
Yeah, when Norm passed away there, I watched all the old Norm clips. And but as far as like new comics, I'd have to say that I'm not up on the new comics like I was a few years ago when I was on Twitter. Like when I was on Twitter, I always knew like, oh, this guy. And then I'd see his first special would show up on Netflix. I'm like, oh, he's got a special finally. You know what I mean? But I'm not on the new comics newsletter right now, you know?
What about you? Do you know any, Scott?
Ooh, you know what? I used to follow comedy more. Like I'd say like 2000 or early Joe Rogan. I remember a guy I worked with was like, you should listen to this podcast. His name's Joe Rogan. He's into MMA. He's a comedian. I was like, yeah, I want to listen to my body. And Ron, I was listening to you at the time on Project Bodybuilding with your show there. Like,
oh, with All Bull.
And I literally would listen to All Bull and then I'd listen to some Joe Rogan. And so I knew a lot more about comedians then because and what was cool about Rogan is, and I know you guys know this, the way he's really talked about like what the art of comedy is. And, you know, in the kind of like, not really the science behind it, but the skill behind it. So I think I gained more of an appreciation at that time. But I don't know as many people now. But if I see like some good comedy, like if I'm like Facebook has a Comedy Central page and there'll be like a little 5-minute or 10-minute stand-up clip. And if I see those, I'll stop and watch them from like just random people I don't know. And man, I love how like I can laugh so hard at that stuff. Like some people don't laugh a lot, you know what I mean? They watch comedy and they just, dude, I just like will bawl laughing. And I have a good time watching that stuff. But I like Jim Gaffigan, if you guys know him.
He's awesome. Yeah.
He's funny as hell, man. Like he cracks me up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's comedy took a real hit during COVID. Like that's something that really hurt them because like all the stand-up shows were canceled. Like there was no stand-up for like a year, you know?
Yeah.
Like comedy clubs, they were all closed. It was all COVID. And like I remember I was listening to a lot of Rogan and he was talking about that. He's like, yeah, like we're all losing our minds. Like we have to get back on the road. And then when they started traveling again, it was like Rogan and Chappelle and they'd go to Austin and do a show and it was like a big celebration because it was like, we're back, bitches, you know? Like, you know, so
I remember
like,
that actually, the first one.
We might have like a comedy resurgence of new stand-up guys now coming now that COVID's kind of, you know, it fucked up a lot of shit. You know, like the TV series that we're watching, we're all halfway through a season there and COVID hits and we got to wait for the second half of the Billions season.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like that sort of stuff.
That very valid.
I love hearing about when Rogan talks about how, you know, it's just like anything. We see them up there, you know, we see, you know, Louis C.K. or whoever up there doing their set. and they're killing it. And Bill Burr's up there, and the timing's just banging. Like, his timing is perfect. Bill Burr's my favorite, by the way. He's a king. But the timing is just killing, and every line is perfectly timed, and they're just a fine-tuned fucking V12 engine. Just, you know, and Bill Burr will go for an hour, and then his last joke punchline will remind you of the first joke he told. And you're like, this guy brought it full circle, made me laugh.
Chappelle does that too.
And yeah, that's a classic. Rogan does it too sometimes. But the thing is, we don't, like, when Rogan talks about it, he's like, you guys don't see the 100 times he bombed.
Right.
Huh.
Like, went up before somebody at the comedy club on a Tuesday and just fucking nothing. Just bombed. Everyone's like laughing, like making fun of him, and like, get off the stage, like, like sucked dicks. And then he'd come off the stage, and everyone pats him on the back and goes, "Oh well, you know, better luck next time." Like, you don't see the 100 times that he did that, because you just see the fine-tuned machine that got the HBO special.
That's the thing I find interesting, though, is when they, to make it as mainstream, like, so. I'm not going to say he was small, but and I cannot even begin to say his last name. But Sebastian Maniscalco or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he's hysterical, but I have to see him is key. Like, I couldn't, like, he's not as funny if I only heard him, because his delivery is him.
Visual. Yeah.
But like, I was watching football on Saturday doing cardio, and he's on the TV doing his picks, and I'm like.
Yeah.
How did you become this famous? When a couple of years ago I would show people him and they're like, "Oh my God, this guy's hysterical. Who is he?" And I'm like,
that's so cool.
And he was already big. Like, it's not like I found him. He was big and still people didn't know him, and now he's doing, you know, College Game Day. I'm like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
You know?
No, they put their work in. They put a lot of time in. It's a very, very tough job.
I had somebody ask me that last week, Ron. I knew you would laugh. Somebody was like, "You're funny. You should do comedy." I'm like, "Oh, that's not the same thing."
Watching me suck isn't funny.
Yeah, one line in one moment, one time is not the same as standing in front of people being funny for an hour.
I can't remember who said it, but their line was, they hate when people say, "Oh, you're a comedian? Oh, I would have never guessed. You're not really, you know, like,
not that funny.
You're not that funny." And their answer was, "Oh, being a comedian it's not about being a funny person minute to minute. It's about understanding the craft and having the timing. Yeah, and it's like a skill I have, but I'm not funny when I walk around and get groceries and meet people randomly and deal with my dentist." Like,
well, if you didn't know Rogan was a comedian, you watched his show, would you guess he was a comedian?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, he's so educated. He knows so many things. At no point were you like, "Oh, this guy should be a comedian." Like, and it's not to say there's nothing funny that happens, but I find that to be one of the most interesting things about him, is he's like such a well-rounded person. Like, how can you do this and that? Because
people always say to comedians, like, "Oh, tell me a joke." And they're like, "No, it's not how it works.
Yeah.
I don't have jokes to tell you. I have a
tell me a one-liner
bit I could do. Like, I have a 4-minute bit I can do. What do you want me to, like, we just throw that down right now with no context?" Yeah. You know?
How much time
tell
you
me
got?
A joke. Hey, that's like a bodybuilder, though. How much you bench?
Yeah.
Right? I don't fucking know.
I always say 225.
I say 225.
Always my answer. 10. I didn't even say a number. I just say 225.
You get like confusing looks from that, I bet.
Well, they're immediately like, "That's not impressive," but you just leave it at 225.
225. Huh.
Because I used to actually say, like, "Well, I don't bench," and I'm like, they don't actually care. It's like when somebody says, "How you doing?" They don't actually want you to answer. The answer is good. Don't fucking tell them you're not doing well. No one gives a shit.
Yeah, don't stop and break down your divorce. And
well, I'm going to be honest with you. Right now, things have been a little tough.
There's a fake question.
Unless they're setting you up for, because my cousin benches 10 pounds more than that.
Of course.
You know. You 225? Oh, yeah, I have a cousin. He benches 315. How about that?
You were 330 once? Yeah, I had a cousin who was like 340.
Yeah, just like you, Ron. Just like you.
Just like you.
You know what's fun?
But better arms.
I like to reverse that. Like, somebody will say something like that, like, "Oh, I used to be your size, maybe." And I'll always say, like, "Maybe a little bigger." And I'll go, "Oh, what happened? Why'd you let yourself go?" And that ends it. It's done. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought, Dick. Moving
What'd
on.
you give up?
Had kids, huh? Told you. All right, let's see here. Boom, got that.
I got time for another one.
You got time for one more? All right, I want to get this.
Yeah, I got time for one more.
This is good, and you guys can both give me some good feedback. When you blast for size, roughly how long is the duration? And let's say you're basing the decision on when to compete or whatever on how much time you need.
From 1995 to 2015.
All right, guys, good show. Remember,
cycle.
That's a classic Ron answer right there.
Yeah.
That was like when you said you were bloated for 15 years. You're like, I felt bloated for 15 years.
And
I had a little water in my
ankles
for 15 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. How long have you had that water retention? I don't know. It's like 1995.
I pull it off for 2 days, twice a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Very valid.
No, I don't know. I used to always say, well, I'd do like a 16-week cycle and then I'd go off, right, in the old days. So that's how we used to do it. And then I remember trying, like, I don't know, everyone went through all these phases, you know, with the message boards and stuff. They're like, okay, we're going to do 8-week blasts. And we're going to do like, and we'll get more of them in. And then it's like
2 weeks,
6-week blasts. And we'll get more of them in. Yeah. You know, and all these different cycle ideas came out. And then at the end of the day, it turns out what worked was just to go on stuff and stay on for like 4 months.
It's so true. I was actually just having that conversation with somebody about supplements, training, bodybuilding in general. And after all the years and all the back and forth and all the things you try, somehow you end up back with, you should cycle for 12 to 16 weeks. You should train progressively. You need protein, carbs, and fats. Okay, that's it.
Somehow it gets back to that at the end of the day.
It all comes all the way back, and it's like, these are the things you need. Because I was asked recently by somebody what their line needed, and I was like, you mean things I'll actually use? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you need an intro. Okay,
right.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because if you have the basics, like, that's the only thing that I can definitely say that, like, when I started using that with Condemned, it's night and day. I'm like, my workouts are better, longer.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a good feature for a line.
It is.
Yep. That's funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about as long as you're growing too? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if you commit to 16 and then 12 weeks in, it's like, yeah, this isn't doing it anymore. Then maybe it was 12 weeks is a good amount of time. Or what if you get to 16 and you're like, damn, things are going so good.
Nobody goes off early.
That's actually true. They just stop growing.
You're talking about it as if it happens. You're like, yeah, you know when you end a cycle early. No,
never heard of that.
Yeah, exactly. Which reminds me, I still gotta see the Tooth Fairy tonight.
The only time I ever ended a cycle early was when I tore my quad.
Ooh, yeah, that's a reason.
Yeah.
And that was because it was in the pantry and he couldn't get to it. He would have kept going.
Yeah. that was my get big again cycle, because I got my pro card the year before and then I didn't really take any juice, and I was like, you know, well, I better like get big so I can do a show, you know. So I was like, better get big, and you know, that's when it came off the bone. Boom.
Or longer. How about that? You know, so the opposite. Like, say you're still, because the question was what, you know, you get your
blood work done. Maybe your blood work's awesome. You haven't been on much shit.
You've been
doing
for
another
good.
Month. Yeah,
I don't disagree with that. For sure.
So the takeaways from this episode are: you can stay on for like ever.
Mostly ever, almost.
Mostly ever. Okay, that's the main takeaway. I don't even remember the rest of the episode.
You said the main takeaways, and I was like, "There's more than one."
Yeah. And you need like 11 machines. Those are your top 3 pieces.
Yes,
those are your top 3.
The top 3 pieces are the following 11 machines.
we gave, we actually answered like 0 questions today. I realized that. Like, the only thing that we came up with was rhinoceros. Like, we're going to be a rhino and we're going to be an eagle.
We were real certain about those.
I think we were about 50% bodybuilding, though, weren't we?
Not even.
Not close. 40. Okay.
It's just bodybuilding minus most of what we talked about today.
Is this that machine, by the way, Ron? I was like looking around for it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the that's a different row. The low row, you load the plates down low.
Oh, okay.
That's like a different row. Yeah. That'd be a good row though.
It's more like the hammer strength seated row that you're sitting. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, you put the plates like down by the floor.
Yep.
But it's a bit of a lower pull. It's great.
I'll
send you a
it
picture
now.
of it after.
Yes.
Okay.
We need this.
Okay. Remember, everybody, like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, and yeah. And it's good to be back. I had a very hectic 2 weeks, by the way. So I appreciate it. Wasn't just the weekend in Hawaii. It was like very crazy. We got a lot of stuff going on. So I appreciate Tommy filling in for me last weekend. And you guys, having me back. Okay. Remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.